The sound of jumps echoed through the Grand Plaza Hotel Marble Hall as a statement of war. Isabella Martinez didn't have to announce her arrival. 3 5-year-olds running before her did it for her. The same man who once called her barren and failed has now froze behind the altar, seeing her own children running towards the places reserved in the front row. Marcus Wellington III always knew how to humiliate people. At 38, he had turned this cruel ability into refined art, especially when it came to the woman who had expelled from home 3 years ago. The wedding invitation sent to Isabella was not a gesture of courtesy. It was a blade involved in golden paper, designed to rub her on her face how lost she had not been able to give her children. "Are you sure about it?" he had asked his assistant when delivering the invitation personally. "Calling your ex-wife for your own marriage is—" "It is necessary," Marcus interrupted, adjusting the Patek Philippe clock on the wrist. "She needs to see what she has lost. She needs to understand that some errors have no return." What Marcus didn't know was that Isabella had spent the last 3 years not crying her departure, but building an empire that he didn't even imagine exist. While he believed she was defining in some suburban apartment, Isabella had become the founder of one of the fastest-growing medical technology startups in the country. Ironically, his company specialized exactly in the area that had destroyed his marriage: male fertility. Each time he signed a millionaire contract for his revolutionary diagnostic technology, Isabella remembered Marcus's cruel words echoing in her mind. "The problem is yours, not mine. I don't need exams." The moment she received the invitation, she felt no pain. She felt a golden opportunity to show the truth that Marcus always refused to accept. The medical exams he never wanted to do. The consultations that always postponed. The reality that his masculine pride prevented him from facing. Isabella's arrival had been carefully planned. Black Rolls-Royce Phantom was not ostentation, it was strategy. Every detail calculated to make the most impact at the exact moment Marcus thought to have full control of the situation. "Mom, why is this man looking at us like this?" Miguel asked, the oldest of the triplets, pointing discreetly to Marcus. Isabella smiled, adjusting her son's tie. "Because, my love, some people are confused when they see that we are not what they expected." Diego and Rafael, the other 2 boys, remained close to their mother, instinctively realizing the tension in the air. At 5, they still didn't completely understand why they had never met their father, but they knew their mother loved them enough for 2. At the altar, the bride, a 20-year model named Vanessa, nervously whispered, "Marcus, who are those children? Why do they look so much like you?" The question echoed through the hall like a shot. The guests began to murmur, comparing the boys' faces with Marcus' photos exposed everywhere. The same line of the chin, the same penetrating green eyes, the same mischievous smile that he sported on all magazine covers. The Reverend, clearly uncomfortable with the situation, throating, trying to recover the attention of the congregation. "Well, maybe we should proceed with the ceremony." But no one was paying attention to him. All eyes alternated between Marcus, who seemed to have seen a ghost, and Isabella, who remained unlocking like a queen on her throne. Isabella remained serene, observing the silent chaos to settle. 3 years ago, when Marcus accused her of being defective and unable to give her heirs, she had cried until she had no tears. Today, she knew that the best revenge was not to scream or cause scandal. It was simply to exist, prosperous and complete, where he had tried to humiliate her. Among the guests, some family faces of their old social life began to connect the points. Dr. Peterson's wife whispered to her husband, "Isn't that Isabella that Marcus divorced? But he said she was sterile," added the doctor, carefully observing the 3 identical boys. Apparently the story had other chapters. What no one still knew was that Isabella had not only come with her children. In the discreet bag he carried, there were documents that would not only prove the paternity of triplets, but they would also reveal an even more devastating truth about the man who was about to marry again. Marcus finally found her voice, although she came out more like a hoarse whisper. "Isabella, what? How?" She tilted her head slightly, as if a distant acquaintance was greeted. "Marcus, congratulations on your big day." His voice carried a calm that made the salon temperature seem to fall a few degrees. Vanessa pulled Marcus's arm with ascending force. "Will you explain what is happening here, now?" While everyone whispered and speculated, Isabella's eyes revealed a serenity that only exists in those who have faced much worse storms and survived to tell the story. There, in the face of all the curious looks, he remained firm as one who holds a secret too powerful to reveal before the right time. If you have already been humiliated by someone who should protect you, you know that revenge needs to be served with intelligence, not angry. Subscribe to finding out how Isabella turned her greatest Marcus more public nightmare pain. 3 years ago, Marcus had orchestrated Isabella's humiliation with the accuracy of a surgeon and the cruelty of a psychopath. The scene still echoed in her memory like a scar that would never close completely. He throwing his clothes at the mansion's entrance, shouting at his neighbors, hearing that she was defective and unable to be a real woman. "You can get your things and go out," I had said that day, holding divorce papers as a death sentence. "I found someone who can give me what you never got, a real family." What made everything even more devastating was finding out, just a week later, that Marcus had been leaving with Vanessa for months. Their photos in expensive restaurants discreetly posted on social networks showed that Isabella had been betrayed long before the divorce was even mentioned. During the lawsuit, Marcus hired the city's best law firm to ensure that Isabella left with nothing. "She did not contribute financially to my success," argued in court, lied blatantly. "He lived at my expense for years without producing results." Isabella perfectly remembered her satisfied smile on his face when the judge determined that she would receive only a small pension for 2 years. Enough to re-establish itself, Marcus had told reporters on the way out of the court, pretending to magnanimity. What Marcus didn't know was that that small pension would be the initial investment in the company Isabella was about to build. While he spent millions on luxury cars and travel with Vanessa, Isabella was turning every penny into revolutionary research. In the months following the divorce, Marcus multiplied his efforts to destroy her reputation. He told all friends in common that Isabella was mentally unstable and had tried to get pregnant using desperate and unethical methods. "She even suggested that I take exams," Marcus laughed during a dinner with investors, secretly recorded by Isabella through a common friend. As if the problem was not obvious. 3 years trying and nothing, clearly defective. The recordings Isabella collected during this period revealed a disturbing pattern. Marcus not only lied about her fertility, but she had actively sabotaged her attempts to get pregnant, replacing her vitamins with placebos and marking medical appointments in clinics that he knew to be incompetent. Dr. Sarah Chen, the fertility expert who became Isabella's ally, explained the cruel irony of the situation. "His exams 3 years ago already showed that you were perfectly healthy, but he never allowed you to see the full results, right?" Isabella shook her head, remembering how Marcus always accompanied her medical appointments, controlling every information that came to her. "He said doctors said I needed more time to mature physically." Complete lie. Dr. Chen showed the old exams. "You could have become pregnant at any time. The problem has never been yours." While Isabella built her medical technology company, Marcus intensified her attacks. He found out where she was living and sent threatening letters through lawyers, claiming that she was defaming her character simply because she exists in the same city. The most revolting was when he spread rumors that Isabella had crazy after the divorce and was chasing pregnant women and doctors. The lie was so specific and cruel that some former friends of Isabella even believed. "She can't accept that her problem was," Marcus confided to her brother during a family lunch, not knowing that Isabella had installed a phone recording app that he had lost months before. Now it is obsessed with the pregnancy of others. It's really disturbing. What Marcus didn't realize was that every lie, every humiliation, every attempt to destroy her was being meticulously documented. Isabella was not chasing women pregnant eras. It was developing the technology that would revolutionize the diagnosis of male infertility. Her triplets, conceived through in vitro fertilization with sperm stored during the wedding, without Marcus knew, were living proof that she had never been the problem. But Isabella kept this secret as a treasure, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the truth. The most delicious irony was the fact that Vanessa, Marcus's current bride, had discreetly sought Isabella's company for fertility exams after a year, trying to get pregnant unsuccessfully. The results, which arrived at Isabella's table 3 days before marriage, revealed a truth that would make Marcus's world collapse completely. Every humiliation she had suffered was about to turn into the sweetest revenge, not through cruelty, but through the relentless strength of scientific truth, served at the most public and devastating moment possible. Marcus had built his second marriage to the same lies that destroyed the first, and Isabella was about to overthrow this whole sandcastle with a single revelation she would prove before all who had really been defective all these years. Isabella's transformation of victim into strategist began in a small clinic waiting room 3 months after divorce. While awaiting the results of her own fertility tests, she observed dozens of desperate couples seeking answers to the same question that had plagued her marriage. 90% of unexplained infertility cases involve unquentered male factors, explained Dr. Sarah Chen, the expert who would become her most valuable partner. But most men refuse to have comprehensive examinations. It's easier to blame the woman. Isabella absorbed each word like oxygen. Is there any way to identify these cases without man knowing? Dr. Chen smiled knowingly. Theoretically, with DNA samples indirectly collected, we can identify specific genetic markers, but it would be necessary a technology that does not yet exist in the market. What if I told you that I have capital to develop this technology? This is how Megan Fertility Solutions was born. Isabella invested every penny of her small research pension, but her company's real fuel was the samples she had collected discreetly during the marriage. Marcus's brush hair, a saliva of glasses he wore, even blood from a small cut she had helped to clean. The private laboratory that Isabella hired worked for months analyzing Marcus's genetic material. The results were devastating: severe oligospermia, untreated varicocele, and a rare genetic mutation that made the natural conception virtually impossible. These results show that his fertility has been committed for years, explained Dr. Patterson, the chief geneticist. Probably since adolescence. He always knew, or at least suspected. Isabella kept these results as a treasure, waiting for the perfect time to use them, but his revenge would be much more elaborate than simply exposing Marcus. She wanted him to destroy herself publicly. The perfect opportunity arrived when Vanessa sought Isabella's clinic for fertility exams, not knowing who the owner was. "I've been trying to get pregnant for 2 years," Vanessa confided to the nurse. "My fiancé says the problem can't be his, because he has been married before." Isabella personally led Vanessa's exams, keeping her identity secret through a partner clinic. The results showed that Vanessa was perfectly healthy, a discovery that Isabella kept as a nuclear bomb ready to explode. But the master's blow came when Isabella found that Marcus had lied about much more than his fertility. Through ethical hackers discreetly hired, she got access to the medical records that Marcus had hidden for years. "He made a vasectomy," reported Jake Morrison, the private investigator Isabella hired, 3 months before marrying you, and reversed the procedure only 6 months ago when she started planning children with the current bride. The discovery was like receiving a punch in the stomach. Marcus not only knew he was infertile, he had actively prevented any possibility of pregnancy during their marriage, while publicly blamed it for his disability. "There is more," Jake continued, showing a pile of documents. "He paid 3 different gynecologists to give false diagnoses about your condition. All the doctors you consulted during the wedding were being bribed to keep you in ignorance." Isabella felt a cold fury through her veins. No, it was only cruelty. It was a deliberate medical conspiracy to destroy his self-esteem and mental health. The triplets had been conceived through in vitro fertilization using frozen sperm that Isabella had secretly collected during the marriage when Marcus had not yet made vasectomy. Dr. Chen had conducted the procedure in a private clinic in Europe, ensuring total confidentiality. "Technically, you collected the material when they were still married," explained Dr. Chen. "Legally, there is nothing he can do about it, and biologically, the boys are unquestionably his children." While Isabella built her medical empire, she also meticulously documented every lie that Marcus spread over her. Secret recordings, conversation prints with friends in common, even videos of Marcus ridicule infertile women at social dinners. The material was so compromising that it could destroy not only his reputation, but also to expose a network of corrupt doctors he had used to sabotage other women. Thomas Chen, brother of Dr. Sarah and medical law expert, became the third pillar of Isabella's plan. "With the evidence you collected, we may not only prove medical negligence but also marital fraud and psychological manipulation. Marcus would not only lose everything, he would face criminal proceedings." 3 days before the wedding, Isabella received the call she had waited for 3 years. "Vanessa's results confirm everything," reported Dr. Chen. "She's completely fertile, and there's one more thing you need to know about her fiancé." The final revelation was so shocking that Isabella had to sit down. Marcus was not just lying about his fertility, he had repeated exactly the same pattern with Vanessa, paying doctors for false diagnoses and preparing the ground to blame it for the eventual absence of children. Isabella looked at her triplets playing in the garden of the new mansion she had bought with the profits of her company. In 3 years, she had turned humiliation into empire, pain in purpose, and lies in irrefutable scientific truth. The invitation to the marriage was not insult, it was the opportunity she had perfectly orchestrated. Marcus had handed over the public stage, where the whole truth would be revealed, in front of the same people who had witnessed their original humiliation. As he chose the dress he would wear for the wedding, Isabella smiled, thinking about the delicious irony. Marcus had spent 3 years trying to destroy her reputation, not knowing that each lie just provided more ammunition for her own public destruction. The truth was about to explode like a nuclear bomb on the altar, and the man who had orchestrated his humiliation would be solely responsible for lighting the wick of his own social annihilation. The moment Isabella had orchestrated with surgical precision finally arrived. As the Reverend tried to continue the ceremony, She slowly stood up, like a queen assuming her throne. The entire hall turned to observe it, including Marcus, who was visibly panicked. "I apologize for the interruption," said Isabella, her voice echoing perfectly by the sound system that had hacked minutes earlier. "But I believe guests have the right to know some truths before witnessing this marriage." Marcus tried to intervene. "Isabella, you don't have the right to—" "Yes," she interrupted, taking a tablet out of her bag. "Especially when it comes to my children." The word mine was pronounced with an emphasis that made the whole hall shudder. Vanessa, still on the altar, urgently whispered, "Marcus, what is she talking about? What children?" Isabella activated the projector who had secretly installed the night before a hired coach. The first image that appeared on the wall was an official DNA exam, with the header well visible. "Parentage test. Positive results. 99.97%. The murmur in the hall turned into an open buzz. Marcus tried to approach the projector, but Jake Morrison, Isabella's researcher, discreetly blocked his way. "This document," Isabella remained calmly calm, "proves that Miguel, Diego, and Rafael are biological children of Marcus Wellington III, conceived during our marriage when he claimed that I was unable to get pregnant." The second image was even more devastating. Medical records dated 2 years before divorce, showing that Marcus had made a vasectomy. The stamp of the hospital was unmistakable. "Vasectomy?" he shouted, a voice from the audience. "But he said the ex-wife was sterile." Vanessa staggered, holding on the altar. "Marcus, did you make a vasectomy? When? Why did you never tell me?" Marcus was white as a paper. I reversed the procedure when he decided that he wanted children with someone else," Isabella completed coldly. "But there is more. The third revelation was that broke Marcus completely. Audios of the recorded conversations where he admitted to paid doctors to give false diagnoses about Isabella's fertility. His own voice echoed through the hall. "I obviously paid those idiots to say the problem was hers. I couldn't let it find out about vasectomy. Women are so easy to manipulate when you make them believe they are defective." The silence in the hall was deafening. Vanessa ripped her head from her head and threw it on the floor. "You're a monster," she shouted. "A psychopathic liar." Dr. Sarah Chen, who was among the guests as planned, rose. "As a fertility specialist, I can confirm that these documents are authentic. Marcus Wellington deliberately sabotaged his wife psychologically, while she was subjected to unnecessary and humiliating treatments." Thomas Chen, the lawyer who specializes in medical law, also said, "These evidence configures not only marital fraud, but also criminal medical negligence. We are talking about a scheme elaborated on psychological abuse." Marcus finally exploded. "You don't understand. I had an image to keep. My family, my business, it all depended on—" From his lie, Isabella cut him off. "Everything was built on the destruction of my sanity." The fifth revelation was the coup of mercy. Vanessa's medical examinations held at Isabella's clinic 3 days earlier. "Vanessa," Isabella went straight to the bride, "you sought my company for fertility exams, not knowing that I was the owner. Your results show that you are completely healthy, but Marcus has already started planting the same lie about you." Isabella reproduced a recent recording where Marcus said to her brother, "If Vanessa didn't get pregnant in the coming months, I'll have to consider other options. Maybe the problem is hers." As was with Isabella, Vanessa shouted with pure anger, "Would you make me go through the same torture you did to her? Would you destroy me psychologically too?" The guests began to get up, some coming out in protest, others to witness Marcus's full collapse. His own brother shook his head in disgust. "Marcus, how can you?" Isabella saved the best for the end. "And for those who still have doubts about my prosperity," she said, projecting the last image, "here are the contracts my company signed this year. Medgen Fertility Solutions today is worth $50 million and revolutionized the diagnosis of men's infertility." Marcus staggered, holding on the altar table. His investment company didn't even get close to that value. "Every humiliation you made me pass," Isabella said, keeping the tablet, "gave me more motivation to build something you could ever imagine. You not only lost a wife, you lost the chance to be the father of the smartest triplets I have ever met." Vanessa approached Marcus and, before all, handed over the engagement ring to his hand. "Considering that you are sterile, liar, and psychologically abusive, I believe our relationship has come to an end." The hall exploded in applause. Some guests were filming everything, ensuring that Marcus's humiliation would become viral in a matter of hours. Marcus tried one last desperate card. "Isabella, please, can we talk particularly?" "The only conversation we'll have," she answered, "it will be through my lawyers. You will pay pension for triplets and face criminal accusations for medical fraud." While Marcus remained there, completely destroyed, Isabella took her children by the hand and walked toward the exit. Miguel, the eldest, turned to Marcus. "You are our biological father, but it will never be our daddy. We already have a real dad that loves us." The final irony came when the photographers that Marcus had hired to document his perfect marriage continued to register every moment of his public humiliation, creating the visual evidence that would accompany his ruin for the rest of his life. There, in the same hall where he intended to humiliate Isabella, Marcus watched his second wife abandon him, his friends despise him, and his reputation to be destroyed forever, all through the same scientific precision that Isabella had used to build her empire over the ashes of her destroyed marriage. 6 months after the marriage that became a viral nightmare, Isabella was sitting on the roof of her new corporate building, watching the city through the panoramic windows. Medgen Fertility Solutions had become the fastest-growing medical technology company in the country, now worth more than $200 million. The phone rang. It was Thomas Chen, his lawyer. "Isabella, I have news about Marcus. The criminal case was accepted by the ministry public. He will face accusations of medical fraud, psychological manipulation, and falsification of medical documents. They are investigating at least 6 other women who have suffered the same scheme." Isabella smiled sadly. Justice had finally reached Marcus, but in a way she had never planned. And how is he dealing with all this? Evil. Lost the company, the house was auctioned to pay legal debts, and Vanessa is suing it for moral damages. Oh, and her mother finally discovered the truth about vasectomy. Let's say she was not happy at all. While talking, Isabella watched her triplets playing in the playground that she had specifically built for them on the company's terrace. Miguel, Diego, and Rafael grew healthy and happy, surrounded by a team of employees who worshipped them and treated them as small princes. "Mom," Miguel ran to her after hanging up. "Uncle Jake said that wedding man is on television again." Isabella sighed. Marcus had become a case study at law schools on marital psychological abuse. Its story was used in medical ethics seminars as an example of how professionals can be corrupted to participate in handling schemes. Dr. Sarah Chen entered the office carrying a pile of contracts. 3 more countries want to implement our diagnostic technology. It seems that Marcus's exhibition has generated a worldwide interest on incorrect diagnostic problems in male fertility. The irony was delicious. Marcus's attempt to humiliate Isabella had become more effective marketing than his company could have. The viral wedding video had been seen by over 50 million people, and Isabella's story inspired documentaries, podcasts, and even a developing movie. "There is one thing you need to know," Dr. Sarah continued hesitantly. "Marcus tried to contact us through an intermediary. He wants apologize and know the boys." Isabella looked at her children, who didn't even ask about her biological father. They had David, their current husband, who had officially adopted them and loved them as if they were their own children from the first day. "What do you think?" asked Dr. Sarah. "I think some bridges are burned forever," Isabella responded calmly. "But if one day the boys want to know him, it will be their decision. For now, they have a complete and happy family." That night, during the family dinner, David told the boys about the new award that Isabella had won as a businesswoman of the year. His mother helped thousands of families to have babies when doctors said it was impossible. "How did she do that, Dad?" asked Rafael, the most curious of the 3. David smiled, looking at Isabella. "She turned pain into purpose, son. When someone said she couldn't have children, she not only proved she was wrong, but created a company that helps others in the same situation." While putting the boys to sleep, Isabella reflected on the extraordinary journey she had traveled. 3 years ago, he had been expelled from home as a defective woman. Today, it was internationally recognized as a pioneer in reproductive medicine. The last narrative loop closed when Isabella received an unexpected letter. It was from Vanessa, thanking him for exposing the truth about Marcus before she suffered years of psychological torture. "You saved me from a worse destination than death," wrote Vanessa, "being married to a psychopathic liar who would make me question my own sanity. Today I am the mother of twins with a man who really loves me, and I owe it to his courage." Isabella kept the letter alongside hundreds of others she received monthly, women thanking her technology to have revealed male fertility problems that her partners hid, saving them from years of guilt and unnecessary treatments. The company that was born of its humiliation had become an empire built on scientific truth and medical justice. Each exam performed, each correct diagnosis, each family formed was a small revenge against all Marcus in the world, trying to destroy women to hide their own deficiencies. Marcus Wellington III had lost everything: fortune, reputation, family, and freedom. He now lived in a small apartment, working as a seller in an electronics store, facing lawsuits that would drag himself for years. But Isabella was no longer angry. He had learned that the best revenge was not to destroy who had harmed her. It was to build something so great that it made the original injustice irrelevant. "Life has a curious way to hit the bills," she murmured, looking out the window of the boys' room. "You can try to destroy someone with lies, but the truth always finds a way." At the bedside table next to the happy family photo, was the first fertility exam she had done after the divorce. The document she proved that she had always been able to have children. It was physical proof that sometimes our greatest defeat can become the foundation of our greatest triumph. Isabella Martinez had learned that true strength is not to retaliate with the same cruelty, but in turning injustice into justice, pain and purpose, and humiliation into a platform to help others that go through the same suffering. She tried to destroy you, but ended up creating a force of nature. Isabella found that the best revenge is not to cause pain to those who injured you. It is to achieve such an extraordinary success that it makes your old wounds become the foundations of an empire that your enemies could never imagine. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove that sometimes our biggest defeats are just the prologue of our most spectacular victories.